Drake obviously does a great job of recruiting the profile of kid that stays there, and I also know that they've got a great alumni network base in Des Moines that they're able to get them summer jobs right away and almost guaranteed jobs once they graduate. And so they're able to keep all their kids on campus during the summertime so they can work out and again get that cohesive bond that makes everyone feel part of something bigger than themselves and they don't want to leave it. Well, he's got two really good receivers that he goes to. Devin Cates and Steven Doran. They're big kids, both 6'3", 6'4". They go up and get it. And Grant Kramer is a quarterback's name, and he's got a 184 quarterback rating. Um, the interesting thing about this year's Drake team is they haven't run the ball as much. They're only averaging roughly 60 yards a game rushing, but they've certainly made up for it in passing. But the games they've won, they've done a great job on special teams. They have a very good returner. And against Butler, they had over 100 yards in punt returns. And so they're getting very short fields. They're -1 in turnovers, but the turnovers they've gotten off of a block punt and interceptions have given them really short fields that they've taken advantage of. They haven't stayed with the run game as much as they have in the past. And in the past, they've also done, they still do a lot of movement, a lot of shifts to try to get good matchups. But generally, that was out to either outflank you, outleverage you, outnumber you for the run game. And now they're using it to get their passing game going, and they've obviously executed very well in that. I think Kramer's got 14 touchdowns to 5 interceptions, and they're doing a good job of getting the ball down the field. Well, defensive line especially. They're relentless. They're big. You know, skill-wise, I think we match up okay. But the thing that they do a very good job, they're big and physical. Their linebackers come downhill, and when they hit you, they stop you. And then the secondary is never out of place. They're always in the right alignment. They don't make a lot of mistakes. They don't get beaten deep, and so they make you take it in 4 and 5 yard chunks. And you know, to this point, offenses that have gone against them have made mistakes as they're going down the field. We're pretty much back to full strength. You know, Regis Steiner, a defensive lineman, starting defensive tackle, did not play in the San Diego game. He's back. He'll be ready to go. Donald Parham, who is our leading receiver going into the San Diego game, did not play there. He's back in full go and ready to go. So we're glad to have those guys back. And then, you know, health-wise, for the most part in the offensive line, we're pretty good. We'll just, you know, again, I think we're rested. I think we're healthy. We should be fast on Saturday. As a team, we didn't go out and compete as well as we could have. I think, you know, San Diego got up on us really quickly, and I mean, they scored the first 4 times. And the thing that was discouraging about that, we actually had them stop 3 of those 4 times, and penalties were the things that kept the drives going. So we tried to reinforce the fact that, you know, we can't beat ourselves, especially against good teams on the road. As offensively, you know, I thought maybe we gave up a little bit early on trying to run the ball. We didn't get the ball outside as much running it, and then we had 3 first down catches that if they're caught, it's a first down. We extend drives, and we didn't do that. So we've been working primarily on execution, understanding the intensity level at which we have to play. One thing that both San Diego and Drake do a great job, and the reason that they're at the top of our league right now, is they play relentlessly to the ball. I mean, they like to play. They are physical. They come up and smack you. Again, they're very disciplined, and so they're not going to beat themselves, that's for sure. And so what we've got to do is make sure that we've talked about all week, match their physicality, match their intensity. Hopefully our line is better and stronger, and I think the one thing that we're going to have to really adjust to is their speed, because they are very quick up front. They do a lot of twisting. They do movement around. They show a couple different fronts. They'll even jump into a bear front at times if they think that you're going to run the football. The other thing that on defense they do a lot of is they'll come up with a man-free look and they'll get extra safeties down in the box. And so when they do that, we've got to be able to read that, get the ball outside and deep, and so to try to keep them from keeping safeties, getting their nose in there. And take advantage of the fact when we get one-on-one coverage that we can beat that down the field. The nice thing at this point, to this point this year, we're +1 in turnovers, which is something our team hasn't done a good job of. And obviously we need to maintain that. And right now, as I said earlier, Drake is at -1 in turnovers. And so we need to win the turnover battle. We need to match our physicality. We need to make sure that we get off the field on defense on 3rd down and stay on the field on offense. And if you look at the 3rd down percentages, they're both in about the mid-40s. So something's got to give there, and hopefully we'll come out on the high end. I think mentally, I think our guys are excited for the challenge. I don't think they're happy with their performance at San Diego, even though we know San Diego has been the perennial champs of our league, and right now are the big boys on the block, and we didn't do anything to dissuade that. So I think our guys are looking for an opportunity to kind of regain their mojo. The technique of man-to-man defense has changed greatly in the last 6 years because of the officiating has changed. You know, it used to be that anytime you got hit by a defender when the ball was in the air, it's going to be pass interference. Well, now they're allowing a lot of the back and forth and jockeying for position, and you know, defenders are getting very good at grabbing people low, like by the hip, and holding them back, or grabbing the jersey and tugging on them just to disrupt things. So primarily what happens is if you start to look back at the quarterback, you tend to change your gait. In other words, you tend to slow down. And so most of the coaching techniques now are keep your eyes on the defender and make sure you're reacting to him as he reacts to the ball coming in, and make sure that you understand where his hands are. Try to strip one of the hands down, get your hands in between them, make sure that you're trying to finish it. Additionally, we had him covered very well. What we didn't do a good job of is finishing, and what I mean by that is knocking the ball out. A couple times a guy made a one-hand catch out there where we just couldn't get our hand out to it. But we've worked very hard these last 2 weeks to make sure that we're finishing the man-to-man things. I think athletically we're going to match up primarily with most everyone in the league, and we'll be in good position. We just got to make sure that we finish it and that we're physical when we need to. Our secondary has to do a good job of filling on the run. And at times at San Diego, you know, we're spilling the power, for example, when they're pulling a guard. We're forcing the ball to go outside, expecting our safety to get down there and make the play because he should be unblocked. Well, our safety didn't do that enough, and so safety was not in the right position to get down there fast enough. So we've tried to do a lot more this week with recognizing when that happens and making sure when we're spilling it, that we're spilling it to a guy that's going to be right there to set the edge and make the play. And it all gets down to where the ball's placed. And that's why if you have a receiver that size, much like we do with Donald Parham, you know, they get to throw the ball high where the defensive back can't get to it. And if the quarterback's on the same play, especially in the end zone area where you're throwing the ball high, it's very difficult. What you've got to do is make sure that as he's going up, that you grab that hand or that tug at that forearm or something like that to make sure he can't get the second hand on the ball and put it away. The whole thing we have to do is we have to force the quarterback to make the hardest throw. Frankly, in San Diego, we did that. And the whole thought is if we can play man-to-man and make the quarterback hold the ball a little bit longer, it gives time for our blitz to get there. And at San Diego, that wasn't happening. He was taking one step and getting rid of it, and there's really no defense for that. I mean, you just can't. They were better than us that day. Grant Kramer is a very similar quarterback. He's very accurate with the ball, puts it where it needs to be, and those receivers are very confident going up to get it. So, again, we're going to have our work cut out for us, but what we've got to try to do is create the illusion of pressure, then backing off, and make sure if we can't get to him, we're forcing his decision tree to take longer so that we can get there. I would argue that physiologically it should be easier to go to a colder environment and play than it would be coming to a hotter environment. So that's certainly what we're telling our team right now. But here's what happens. We need something good to happen early. I think for confidence, I think just to keep our head in it, you know, if we get down a bunch real quickly like we did at Drake the last time, you know, it ends up being a long day, and then the weather all of a sudden starts to become a factor. Where if you're in the game playing hard, generally when it's in the 50s, which would be perfect for football, the weather doesn't seem to bother you. The aches and bumps doesn't bother you until after the game, and so we've got to make sure that offensively we control the football and score when we get it, and then defensively, you know, get off the field on third down. If you look at Drake's last week's game against Butler, that's exactly what happened. They had two huge punt returns that set up. They also blocked a punt, and they set up another short field. So there's 3 short fields where they only had to drive it 30 yards or 3 yards, and that's hard to defend. And so I think the special teams are going to be crucial in a game like this. And so I've talked to the kids about making sure that we're getting those hidden yards, you know, field every punt, making sure that we don't allow their punt returner to get vertical. We got to make him go east and west so everyone can rally. And then lastly, we got to place the ball where we need to place it, kicking wise. And our kicker is going to be, both our kicker and our punter are going to be crucial in putting the ball where it needs to be placed. Well, we got to match their intensity. That's number one, the physicality intensity, because it's going to be a physical game. Number two, defensively, we have got to make them one-dimensional. And even though they haven't run the ball, we got to guarantee they can't run the ball and make them throw it all the time. And then when they do throw it, vary our coverages and our blitzes so that we hopefully make Kramer hold the ball a little bit longer, or make him feel uncomfortable enough so the ball is in a place where our defensive backs can defend it. Offensively, we've got to run the football. We've got to run the football, control the clock. We've got to be able to get the ball outside as well as run inside. And then when they give us opportunities to throw the ball down the field, we got to catch the ball, especially on third down, and stay on the field.